Arumai Tamil Nenjangale, my dear friends, it's a golden day for us today that we are celebrating Babasaheb Ambedkar's 135th birthday. A few years ago, we went to Washington, D.C. on a real rainy day. You can put the slide. It was a wonderful day for all of us in spite of the rain. A tall statue, after a long haul, in a place near Washington, D.C., was unveiled. I told the audience Babasaheb would have been very, very happy, not because his statue was erected in the United States Capitol, but because of the attendance of the audience. The audience was from all over the world. The downtrodden people have come up so much in life. Every one of the audience was in some big position in academic world, industrial world, and business world, and everyone was so proud. Babasaheb Ambedkar wanted to present the annihilation of caste, which was prevented, but Tandai Periyar, next slide. Tandai Periyar translated that in Tamil and published it in Tamil Nadu, and you will see more statues of Babasaheb in Tamil Nadu more than any place else. Ambedkar University, Ambedkar College, even Ambedkar Studies Circle has started all over the world now. Ambedkar King Circle Study in California, Ambedkar Periyar Circle Study in Australia, UK, Canada, United States, several places have started up. Why we are so happy? Because this is the need of the hour. Look around. What are we going through? Babasaheb said, wherever the Indian diaspora goes, the caste will also go. That is the status of affairs today. State of affairs. We have to fight in the court. We have to fight with the public. We cannot be talking between ourselves, but we have to talk to the general population. So we have done several conferences, including the non-Indians, wherever the country is, Australia, America, UK, Canada. We have included the people there to propagate what caste is, why caste should be abolished. With that, there are several Ambedkar scholars all around the world, and today I am proud to have with us one such scholar, Dr. Santhosh Raut. It's a long introduction, but I will make it short. He started the Ambedkarite Buddhist movement. He is a Dhamma teacher, and Buddhist aesthetic and philosophy has been his field. He has several organizations he has started and introduced Babasaheb Ambedkar and Buddhism to the non-Indian audience in several conferences and speeches. Now he is in Harvard Divinity School as a postdoctoral fellow. He has written so much and spoken so well. He is appreciated all around the world as a scholar to bring the thoughts of Buddha, to bring humanism together, not to fight, but to help each other, to love each other. This philosophy was forwarded by Periyar like, forget God, think of man. Our ideology is all are equal. Pirapokkum ella uirkum. So we are here to listen to him today, not just for listening, but how we can proceed further to propagate the humanism and the Buddhist values all around the world and bring it to the world audience. With that, I request Dr. Santhosh Raut to enlighten us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a great honor. And thank you very much, respected Soma sir, for introducing for a generous words. And I think you very rightly said, in the times we all are passing in today's time, nothing can please me to celebrate such a great man, Dr. Ambedkar, in the challenges of humanity, the world of war and violence and discrimination and segregation that is at its high scale that's happening. So, thank you very much for having me this morning. It's such an honor to know all of you. And when I got an invitation, um I might be new to you in terms of my face or whatever, but we are together in our common suffering, in our common struggle, the common quest for liberation. So thank you very much for having me this morning, and I again wish you a very happy Dr. Ambedkar's Jayanti. And of course, Periyar Ramaswamy ji is one of the inspiration in my life. His radical approach and the courage he shown in his own time against the dogmatism, superstition, and also how Periyar sort of try to scrutinize the scriptures, the mythologies, the sources that were oppressive in Indian civilization is very radical. And I'm sure Dr. Ambedkar and Periyar shares a lot of in common in terms of how they gaze and view the civilization and the history of oppression where they both sort of lived. So something carried forward for both of them for the liberation of humankind, which is very inspiring. So nothing can please us to celebrate such a great figure, and especially Dr. Ambedkar in the month of April. Um I was thinking, why do we celebrate Dr. Ambedkar? Of course, his life, what he has done, what he has achieved. I do not want to go into much biographical features of Dr. Ambedkar. I'm sure you all are aware of his life story and what he lived for. But something that we'd like to emphasize in 20th century, in the there are many great men sort of emerge on the planet, on the globe, in various parts of the world, including Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Howard Thurman, even Gandhi to some appeared in the same time, and various figure across the world, Taishu in China. Uh, so we see a very, very grand scale of emergence of renaissance in terms of religious life of people, civil life of people, political life of people. uh, but here we come across a very unique story of Dr. Ambedkar in 21st century, uh, which is very little known, and his insights are very little known apart from his own community. It become a part of our life, part of our consciousness. So sometimes we take for granted that everyone knows about Dr. Ambedkar and his greatness. But I think post Ambedkarite movement in 21st century carries a very special responsibility. World has dramatically changed in past uh, 20 years in terms of various challenges, and I recognize those challenges at three levels. The first level is uh, threat to nuclear wars, which are growing. The violence, that's the first sort of challenge world is facing today. Secondly, the environmental catastrophe. There is a deterioration of environment, and when we think in terms of environmental justice, It's not just rising temperature and changing weathers and temperature rise or the cold or glaciers melting. Yes, that is fundamentally true. But at the same time, how the marginalized communities are affected everywhere because of this climate change. So there is a upcoming areas and researches that are showing us the environmental justice. The environment is affecting the vulnerable communities in terms of drinking water, their facilities, their their standard of life, and so on and so forth. So that's another challenge we are facing. And third and foremost challenge we are facing is the deterioration of democracies. We see the sliding of democracies. Democracies are becoming vulnerable. Uh, they are becoming uh, fragile. In fact, democracy nowadays is used as a vehicle for majoritarianism or fundamentalism. And we see Dr. Ambedkar hinted towards that. Dr. Ambedkar said, if democracy is guided by the uh, communal forces, the one group of dominant religious group, that won't be a democracy. Democracy will not work there. He says it will become a communal democracy. So you see that Hindu majoritarianism in India or Christian nationalism all across the Western worlds, wherever we notice those changes. So very few leaders in our time are able to sort of anchor that democracy into what Dr. Ambedkar envisioned. Dr. Ambedkar's vision for democracy was, he said, of course, he studied in Colombia in 1913 to 16, and he was greatly influenced by many ideas what he studied and learned from Western world, London School of Economics or Columbia. In fact, in his one of the letters in 1930s to the Columbia Alumni News, he said that the best friends I have had in my life were some of my classmates at Columbia University, and of course the my great professor John Dewey, James Shotwell, Seligman, and James Harvey. So he sort of kept in touch and ideas influence, and he defined democracy's definition is not mere a form of government. Democracy is not mere a form of government. It's a conjoint associated living where every citizen have a respect and reverence for another citizen without exception in terms of their caste or creed or gender. So there is a quest in Dr. Ambedkar when he was sort of envisioning how democracy should be and how the nation formation, therefore, should be. If am I co-host, if I may allowed to share a few slides, just wanted to make clear.
Sure, sir. You can share the slides, sir. You have the right, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think while speaking, it will also make clear if we have a text. So, can you see that, friends? If someone can help me to.
Yep, we are able to see the slides, sir.
Okay.
Please go
So,
ahead, sir.
yes. So, Dr. Ambedkar sort of defines nation, how he defines nation. He he sort of says that it is universally admitted that nationalism is a force in the history of mankind. We all love our nation. We all love wherever, whatever soil we came from. It is a man made thing. Therefore, it is closely related with the man's life, pride, and self dignity and its well being. So, it is a vital force that one can recognize, one can reckon with, or imagine with in terms of our identities. Uh, and what Dr. Ambedkar has to say on these feelings. So, he discriminates between two feelings, nationality and nationalism. There are two different sentiments. there are two different psychological states of human mind. What is nationality? Nationality is a consciousness of kind, which is a, an awareness of the existence of that tie of kinship, where you recognize your kith and kin. What is nationalism? It's a desire for a separate national existence for those who are bound by this by this tie of kinship. So that's called nationalism. So Dr. Ambedkar, by prefacing this two line, he said that it is true that there cannot be a nationalism without feeling of nationality. It is true. If you have to have a feeling of nationalism, you have to have a feeling of nationality. Both are important. But there is a warning that he gives. What is the warning that Dr. Ambedkar gives? He gives it is important to bear in the mind that the converse is not always true. You can be a national, but you cannot be inspired by nationalism. That's what Dr. Ambedkar was trying to warn us. The feeling of nationality may be present, but yet the feeling of nationalism might be absent. That is to say, nationality does not, in all cases, produces nationalism. We might be Indian or American or whatever nationality we belong to. It is important. But to love that country, Dr. Ambedkar warns that you have to have the feeling of that nationalism. Why? What are the conditions that nationality sort of flames into nationalism? There must be a rise the will to live as a nation. You should feel that this is my cultural home. I should feel belong to that nation. And when you will feel that belongingness will come where nation gives you a care, when nation gives you a human treatment, when nation gives you a dignified treatment, it loves you as mother loves the son in Buddha's language, if I put it in that way. So it's a dynamic expression of that desire. So it's a social feeling. You should feel like, sir, in introduction, very briefly, he said, we have to still struggle, we have to still fight, we have to still fight court cases. Your FIRs are not registered against atrocities or rape or institutional murders and the discrimination that are happening in the higher institutes. Students should feel free for their ideas, for their creativity, for their research, for their sort of flower of creativity must blossom without thinking, oh, I will be punished, I will be discriminated. How would we build up a nation where a, a more than 30 to 40% population is not contributing into the nation building process? How that nation will be a strong nation? It can't be just a matter of few privileged or governing class, in Dr. Ambedkar's word. So governance of nation must not be always monopolized or dominated by governing class or upper caste in India, for example. So that's where then he cites Lord Acton's phrase that nation as a soul, as it were, wandering in search of the body in which it begins, in which to begin life over again and dies out finding none. So, nation without a feeling of nationalism or the love for nation, it will wander like a soul wandering to search in search of the body, and that soul may die if it doesn't find the body to survive. So that community eventually might be vanish, might be uh, put for jeopardize their life and creativity forever, which is not just a matter of community. It's a matter, it's not just Dalits or tribals or other backward classes or women. It is not just a matter of oppressing those communities. It's also a matter of killing their episteme, killing their knowledge system, killing their wisdom, killing their creativity, killing their unique wisdom they carry from their ancestors. unique wisdom they carry from their community living. So the care, the love, the creativity that comes from various communities nourishes the nation. That's the danger Dr. Ambedkar probably was trying to hint at it. And therefore, there was a huge sort of uh, clash of opinions and the disagreements between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar was emphasizing the freedom of the people in the nation, where Gandhi, in the name of the nation, forgetting his own people. That's what it happened in Pune Pact. In the quest of electoral system, in the quest for separate representation for untouchables and the Shudras, OBCs, basically, he was trying to represent them in the governing class, in the parliament. And that political freedom and socio-economic freedom cannot be assured involuntarily. It will not come automatically once nation gets freedom. You have to think of people in the nation. So Dr. Ambedkar sort of fighting at the same time at the two dual struggle, external dominance and internal oppression. He made that distinction like freedom of the country or freedom of the people. So therefore he very rightly says that uh, we are entering into era of contradiction. Why did he say that? Mere quoting Dr. Ambedkar is not enough, as again very rightly said by the at the opening remark. It's not about mere thinking of Dr. Ambedkar, but living Dr. Ambedkar. Sort of try to understand his mind, what was lying in his mind. He will not live forever. We all have to go one day, but we will have to nourish and nurture the thought, the ideas. So when he say era of contradiction, that's what he was hinting at. There will be difference between people and nation. So we have nation, we belong to nation, but that nation doesn't treat you with the equality, with the liberty, with the fraternity, with the dignity, with the justice. These are the preamble that Dr. Ambedkar sort of try to evoke before even we govern the nation. It's a very first page of Indian Constitution. And why he has to do that? Because he was aware we will face an era of contradiction. We will have one vote, one value. So political equality will be there. You choose any leader, you vote for them, they will be count in a democratic leader in the democracy, but not necessarily that democracy will equally committed to the socio-economic and the spiritual liberation of people, right? So we will have equality politically, but we may not have socio-economic equality. Therefore we see the communities are becoming vulnerable and vulnerable whenever there are wars, whenever there are sort of calamities affect. Who is affected by gas? Who is affected by oil? Who is affected by resources and rise of prices in terms of medical treatment or food or education, right? So that's the contradiction we would feel. And therefore in 21st March 1940, in Times of India published statement, Dr. Ambedkar said, it is entirely wrong to concentrate all our attention on the political independence of our country and to forget the foremost serious problem of socio-economic independence. It will be suicidal to imagine that political independence necessarily means all real sided freedom. So, political independence from British or from English people not necessarily will deliver the social, economic, and the spiritual or the sort of freedom for every citizen with dignity. And therefore, he was try to urge in parliament to the nation. This is not he is talking to mere particular Dalit community or oppressed community. He was talking to a nation. He was giving this message to every citizen of India. Every citizen of India, Brahmins, Muslims, Christian, minorities, Parsis, Hindus, Dalits, Buddhists, Sikhs. This message is for everyone because Certain people love Ambedkar. They think, nation thinks that, oh, he spoke for his own people. One must not make that mistake. And let us not make that mistake. Therefore, Dr. Ambedkar, such a great giant, as I evoked in the very few words of my talk today, there are many thinkers, great leaders born in 20th century, but Dr. Ambedkar is less known in terms of his vision because he became a victim of reductionism. They think he's a Dalit leader. He born into certain caste. So caste stigma, in spite of he break through the every possible greatness of any great man on this planet, become a victim of caste stigmatism. So therefore, Dr. Ambedkar's even Buddhism, for example, becomes is Dalit Buddhism or Dalit Christian or whatever. So the stigma of caste also goes with a greater civilization that you embrace. And that's the peculiarity and complexity of caste that Dr. Ambedkar was trying to teach to the nation, teach to the every citizen. In fact, in Pune Pact, Dr. Ambedkar, when he showed Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and I do not want Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmin. Dr. Ambedkar was not extremist in any sense, either or. He says equality. I want that right. Even they are privileged, I will treat them equal. Even they are oppressed, I will treat them equal. I don't want to have a uh, reactive mind. His mind was creative. His mind was of rejuvenation, not necessarily the reaction, right? Not negative mind. It's such a super positive mind, in spite of his own personal oppression and terrible inhuman treatment by his own people, by his own nation. Therefore, I'm not going into his biography. You all know that. So, not to make that distinction between the freedom of the country and freedom of the people in the country is to allow oneself to mislead, if not deceived. That will be deceiving, as Dr. Ambedkar said. Therefore, we see that the Swaraj and the Adhamma, the definition of country, when we say Swaraj or independence, that Swaraj, Dr. Ambedkar argues in volume 9, will be a government run by governing class. This will be the mistake. This will be always government run by the uh, uh, governing class. Yeah. And the existence of that governing class does not cover the whole story. And he cites Tilak, Nehru, and Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Patel. They never forget that they were belong to the governing class. They were always aware from which strata of community they come from, and were in opinion that surveilling class, all surveilling classes, here surveilling classes is not Dalits, including Dalits, every surveilling class or uh, contemporary people must remain sort of servile and never aspire to rule. They will never think that we can become professors, we can become collectors, we can become prime minister, we can become ministers. That became only with the grace of governing class. If I'm in a power and I said, okay, I want to take you as a token leadership, that will happen. And Dr. Ambedkar was warning against that. So therefore, be Swaraj will not be government by the people, it will be government run by the governing class. And that's the danger that Dr. Ambedkar envisaged. In Orthodox India, even after independence, therefore the hierarchy will prevail. Hierarchy will continue. And Dr. Ambedkar points out that in 21 fasts of Gandhi, not a single sort of fast was undertaken for removal of untouchability or caste system. He never used that weapon of satyagraha for abolition of untouchability, abolition of caste system. So he says that, therefore, whatever religion you follow, whatever Gandhi's religion Gandhi follow, or whoever religion whatever follow, there is a religious freedom. But slavery is an antithesis to religion. No religion should produce slavery. That is not acceptable to Dr. Ambedkar. And therefore, then we see in today's time the picture is clear. We are into an era of contradiction. We see political freedom, but we see no economic and social freedom. Caste prevails as a living untouchability. People still, even in diaspora, for example, I congratulate you came to US, but in spite of that, as he said, diaspora or whenever Indians will go, they will carry the same caste system. So even across the water, whenever I interact across the world with the people, I always listen the same stories that they carry from India. So that caste is prevail as a living untouchability. In today's experience, we we sort of need to ask question: creed above the country or country above the creed, right? So what we experience is the creed above the country and not country above the creed. We are still focused on our own caste and class or my groups, right? So the instead of Swaraj, instead of putting an end to the untouchability, it extends its life and perpetuates slavery in India. That's the problem. So you still see that era of contradiction. Even in independent India, the people struggle from caste, gender discrimination, poverty, begging, and so on and so forth. There are obvious examples that still in villages people have to sort of suffer with this caste untouchability and their sort of ancestral occupations. Scavenging community, for example, huge infrastructure and the machinery has been gone. Why not there are equipments to clean the seepage water and gutters and toilets and live a human life with a dignity? We have to sort of think 10 times over this. I'm going to show you, this is the beautiful painting done by my very close friend called Savi Savarkar. Uh, like how untouchables sort of carrying dead animals and still they carry the light in their hand, right? So he's showing the hope that we can sort of overcome that one day. It's a Chandalika woman carry a bangle stick, an earthen pot. These are the condition may not be existed today in the literary form that painting exhibits, but the mentality continues, the psychology continues, the psychological harm continues, the trauma that carries through transgenerational trauma continues. That's where, if I now in my last part of sort of presentation, uh, uh, I have 5 minutes, 5 7 minutes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where Dr. Ambedkar sort of try to look forward for what is the way out of it, way forward for it. And Dr. Ambedkar sort of why he turned towards Buddhism. Again, when I use word Buddhism, it's not against any ism or any religion. Uh, of course, Periyar Ramaswamiji has written extensively between on Brahmanical text and the epic Ramayana and Mahabharata and so on and so forth. Mythology shaped our mind. Mythology and stories shape our consciousness, our morality. So Dr. Ambedkar was trying to find in that struggle mere constitutional, legislature, political, party like Scheduled Caste Federation Party or Republican Party of India, he founded parties. Party struggle is not enough. It's important. It's extremely important. I'm not denying that slightest. It's extremely important, but he was aware that that's not enough. It has to go beyond your mere political and the ideological struggle, right? And he knew that without social democracy, without spiritual democracy, you can't have a successful political democracy. So he knew that the problem is deeply rooted in Indian soil. how one religion treats human being and how other religion within religion treats another human being. It's a beautiful story in Buddha's life which I'm going to tell you. So here that's Varnashrama Dharma has treated in the name of caste. He is also untouchable, called Sunita in 3rd century BC. He was also a scavenger and the Safai Karmachari that we call it today, right? He was cleaning the street outside the village, and then he saw Buddha is coming, and he was scared. He was shivering. Oh gosh, I will pollute the Buddha, and Buddha will be punished by people because I am untouchable. My shadow goes on him. If I touch him, he will be polluted. So he was hiding under the bushes. There are bushes behind him, and he is Ananda. Buddha tells Ananda, "Oh Ananda, I hear some chirping here under the bushes. Can you please go if there is any animal struggling for life?" So Buddha was aware that life is struggling under the bushes. Then Ananda pulls out the Sunita. Still he stands apart from the Buddha and bows down to him and says, Buddha, you will be polluted and village will punish you. I don't want that to happen. And Buddha says to the Sunita, Oh Sunita, what are you talking about? Who are you? He said, I am an untouchable. And what does that mean? It means nothing to me. You have equal potential to become a Buddha like me. Would you like to join my order? That's what Sunita, Buddha's offer. He to the Sunita. So you look at his hand. He's offering, come to my order, join my sangha. And that's how Buddha broke down the caste barriers in its own civilization. And Dr. Ambedkar picks up such examples and try to put it into Buddha and his Dhamma. What was Dr. Ambedkar doing here? Dr. Ambedkar was saying he was a voracious reader. He read 18 hours in Columbia University. I just spoke on last Sunday at Columbia University. I was sort of try to experience Ambedkar consciousness in the walls of those libraries and books. If you read one book and if you read another book, one book explains another book. One thinker explains another thinker. One civilization, one civilization sort of explains another civilization. And what one civilization can normalize, another civilization critics. And therefore, Babasaheb said in Buddha and his Dhamma, breaking down the barriers is Saddhamma. That's what he meant by Prabuddha Bharat, vis-a-vis Swaraj, right? That's the, it's not just political slogans. We don't need mere slogans and celebrations for successful democracy. We need philosophical tools. We need to churn our mind. We need our ideas that will counter the suffering, not necessarily community, but caste. Right? I don't want to erase any community, but we must erase caste. We must erase caste or race, for example, in that matter. It's challenging for people, those who are benefited by it. But it is liberating for the people, those who are affected terribly and brutally by it. So that's the internal colonialism that Dr. Ambedkar wanted to challenge. This is not a sort of common experience to share and have no bond of sympathy in the name of caste. Sort of caste kills the public spirit. Race kills the public spirit. Right? Any discrimination kills the public spirit and destroys the sense of public charity. So how can people divided into several thousands of caste can form a nation or a harmonious society anywhere? Of course, I'm talking particularly from the Indian experience, but even in America or even in any country, if people are divided by race or gender, they cannot form the harmonious society. They have to have at least communicative bridges alive, sympathetic bridges alive, and the bond of care alive, right? So that's what Dr. Ambedkar, in some, democracy was he was defining is deeply vulnerable, and this is Dr. Ambedkar saw very clearly. He therefore enunciate a theory of democracy and its relation to the best governance, what he calls the kingdom of righteousness. Kingdom of righteousness meaning simply that you live ethically, you live with the moral conviction, you live with that liberty. And uh, uh, that's the reason why Dr. Ambedkar embraced Buddhism to form a new society, a new nucleus for society. Here in Indian civilization, he chose Buddhism. We are now across the globe. People choose whatever religion they wanted to follow. But as I said earlier, religion must not produce slavery. And Dr. Ambedkar gives a criteria for religion, not necessarily Buddhism, but criteria for religion. First criteria he gives that religion must produce liberty, equality, fraternity, justice, and dignity. Then embrace that religion. That religion must be in complementary with the science. Complementary with the science, not here I don't mean laboratory science. Complementary with the science means it should give you a logical understanding, not just asking you to believe unquestionably, right? It should give you a liberty to question. Oh, if Jesus is for white, does Jesus work for black? And how? Right? Therefore, black theology emerged. Right? They were trying to argue that if we are a part of God's body, how can I be segregated from the larger human society by slavery? We have seen the brutal slavery, history of slavery and legacy of slavery that this country carries and Europe carries. So, does religion gives sanctity for such slavery? And that is scientific. Is that scientific? Is that rational? Is that sort of justified? But we justify in the name of religion. Oh, it's God's wish. It can't be a God's wish. How can God allow you to slay another human being and whip them and kill pregnant women and develop your medical science at the cost of making human beings as a guinea pig? God will not allow that, right? So we have to question that. That's the second point Dr. Ambedkar says when he talks scientific inquiry. It's not a laboratory science, but your rational inquiry. You can question that. Does religion give you that freedom? That's the second criteria Dr. Ambedkar gives. And third criteria, as I already said, religion must not promote discrimination, inequality, and slavery. Slavery is antithesis to religion. Religion must promote love, equality. That's the answer in Indian soil Dr. Ambedkar found in the teachings of the Buddha, and he embraced the Buddha. So gives sort of that rational. There is a suffering, there is a cause of suffering, and we need to seize that suffering, and there is a path to overcome that suffering. So it's your worth. Anyone goes to these four criteria, they will be emancipated. So it's not your birth, you born as a woman or black or untouchable or Brahmin or Kshatriya or Vaishya. It's your worth that produce egalitarian society. It's your worth that makes you your measure, your measure of the man. That's the rational, compassionate society Dr. Ambedkar was trying to define. And he sort of says that some people must live with this quality of life: liberty, equality, fraternity. In other words, in Buddhist terms, we call it Sangha, because Sangha, as we have seen, Buddha accepted Sunita and he never discriminated. He ordained women, he never discriminated women. In fact, he set up a separate Sangha for women, right? He's the first religious leader who has set up a separate spiritual liberatory institution for women. That was the Buddha, right? And that's the Sangha that Dr. Ambedkar wanted to create, or society with that spirit, at least Dr. Ambedkar wanted to create. And as Soma sir already said, Periyar, forget the God and focus on human. That's what Dr. Ambedkar exactly said. Religion is for man, and man is not for religion. The greatest thing that the Buddha has done is to tell that the world cannot be reformed except by the reformation of the mind of man and mind of the world. That's the solidarity, deep solidarity Dr. Ambedkar wanted to create by creating culture of mind, culture of our mentality. Now you may ask, sir, we will cultivate our mind, but what about their mind? At least I would argue, do not destroy your own mind because others people are destroying their own mind. At least we got that nourishing tools, we got that food, we got that fertilizers, we got those nutrients where we can cultivate Ambedkar consciousness, we can cultivate our greater consciousness full of love, non discrimination and maitri, as Dr. Ambedkar said. That's the goal of man's life, is not reached unless and until the man is fully cultivated his mind. The aim of human society must be enable every person to lead a life of the cultivation of mind as distinguished from the satisfaction of mere physical desires or physical wants, not mere materialistic comfort, but also the mental sort of cultivation that will break down the barriers that Dr. Ambedkar has envisioned for us. So, dear friends, I just wanted to say that Dr. Ambedkar's vision is not mere horizontal, not mere wider and breadth, it also goes deep to really change our psychological operation, our mentality, our cultivation of mind, so that we all can become a equal participant in human society and to make this world better place to live for everyone without slavery, without exception. I think my birth with whatever skin color I born or whatever gender I born or caste I born is only a natural accident. This is not predestined. Thank you very much, friends, for having me this morning. And may we wish that peace prevail on this planet without wars and without violence, and may equality sustains without discrimination. And everyone should live with the dignity. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim to all.